Hello. What's up, everyone? Can everybody hear me? And can everybody see me? Welcome to the stream. It's been a minute since I've streamed last. I feel like I say that every time I stream. But it has been a very busy past few months for me. I feel like I say that every time I stream as well. It's true though. It is not a lie. But I do intend to get back to a more regular streaming schedule. But yeah, there's been a lot going on. Like, for those that don't know, I recently moved to a new apartment. And that's where I'm at now. So I've been kind of dealing with getting the apartment together, getting everything set up and all that. And then recently, you know, a bunch of other stuff happened, but most recently, I broke my chair. I don't know if I'm like gaining too much weight or something. It was kind of a cheap chair though. And so for the time being, I was using a pretty uncomfortable chair at my desk. And I literally couldn't sit in it for like more than like 2 hours at a time. So I don't want to stream with the chair because I couldn't sit still for that long. But I recently got a new chair, and in fact I got a pretty cool chair. It's a Secret Lab chair. A word of advice: get a good chair, especially like a chair for your desk. What, in my experience, you really get what you pay for when it comes to chairs. And this chair is a little more on the expensive side, but you can just tell sitting in it that it's just a much higher build quality than what I'm used to. I used to always like go sort of cheap with the chairs, but the problem is they kept fucking up, they kept breaking, they wouldn't last that long, or they weren't that comfortable. And so I just kind of sucked it up and went ahead and bought a real chair. Yeah, thrift stores are probably a good place to look for a chair. And I personally like gaming chairs. You know, I'm not like super hardcore gamer at all. I mean, I play games, but I'm, you know, not as much as some other people. But I like gaming chairs because they're like upright. Steven, thank you for the 5. What's up, Steven? Anyway, I like gaming chairs because they're straight up, like they keep your back straight. They're kind of designed to do that. Some people don't like that. Some people like for the chair to have a little bit of give. In fact, and this one is like really cool because I can actually adjust like a car, like in a car seat. You can, there's a lever where you can adjust it. Not all chairs have that, but yeah, I personally like that. And I also like the pillow. Some people don't like the pillow. I like the pillow. So I'm a fan of gaming chairs, but they can be quite expensive. But now that I have my chair, I feel comfortable enough to sit down and stream for a while. Because for a while I was just sitting on like a fucking folding chair, and it just wasn't great. Anyway, that was kind of a longer tangent than I meant. How's everybody doing? How's everybody enjoying their holiday season? It's been weird. The holidays this past few years have been pretty weird, I feel like, because nothing just feels quite normal. But, you know, I still try to I don't know, it's a little bit cheesy, but I try to be in the spirit, the holiday spirit. Might as well. Back support is underrated. I agree. Especially for me, I have pretty poor posture, so anything that helps with that. But I can see how it wouldn't be, some people wouldn't like that. Like even like in the car, I have my seat like just straight up. I like just having the back straight. Do not use a wing back as your gaming chair. It's cool for reading, but if you're on the computer for work and stuff, like I am, it has been fucking my back up with the sag. Interesting. I see T1J stream highlights, but I'm never around where you're streaming. Well, it seems like you made it. My streams are very, very chill for those who are new to the stream. We just kind of hang out most of the time. Every now and then there's like an activity, like sometimes I paint miniatures on stream, sometimes I play games, sometimes I'm, you know, catch up with the news, things like that. But it's always very chill, and we can talk about whatever is on the chat's mind for that day. During the pandemic of working from home, I realized that I've become old and I need a good chair just to keep my back alive. Yeah, sitting in a bad chair will definitely mess with your back after a certain age, maybe even for younger folks. I worked in an office that had Harry Miller chairs once. The difference is real, but they're like over 1,000. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've heard of Harry Miller. I did a lot of research and I got a lot of opinions about what chair to buy, and several people suggested the Secret Lab. It's the Secret Lab Titan, I think it's called. I guess because it's big. I don't know. There's an even bigger version than this. It's like the Titan XL or something, I think it's called. But I mean, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get the bigger one, because I mean, I guess I'm above average. Like I'm 6 foot even, which I guess is taller than most people, and I'm, you know, I'm not a light guy. I'm not the heaviest guy either, but you know, I'm over 200 pounds, so wasn't sure. But now that I'm sitting in it, this is like a really heavy duty chair. I think it could handle me. I didn't need to get big ass throne. Probably would have looked silly, to be honest. Am I watching the new Scream movie in January? Not sure. Oh, I just saw your message, Steven. Love you, bro. Have a good stream. Love you too. Appreciate it. But yeah, I don't know, if someone like wants to go watch the Scream movie and ask me to go with them, I'll probably do it, but I don't think I would do it like on my own. There's a short video where you say most African Americans have no connection to Africa. So do you believe we have no cultural traits that we brought over from West and Central Africa? Well, yes, of course, like Black culture is an evolution of, among many things, some of the traditions that were brought over from Africa. That's, I mean, clearly, because the early slaves definitely, they had a lot of their African culture that they brought with them, and of course Black Americans are the descendants of those slaves, so sure. But yeah, I mean, I guess that counts as a connection, but it's, you know, it's a small connection, because there are parts of culture that come from a little bit of everywhere. So, but I guess that counts as a connection. So, how crazy when Batman showed up in No Way Home. How do you spend Christmas? Does it mean much to you? I mean, I usually just end up hanging out with family. Like I was saying earlier, I just try to enjoy the time. I think these types of holidays, it's just a good opportunity to spread love and positivity and generosity to other people. So I take advantage of that. You know, I like, theoretically, or ideally we would do that all year round, but it's a good reminder to do it. And if you haven't been so good at it the rest of the year, it's a good opportunity to, you know, put out some good vibes into the world. Got a bunch of new followers on Twitch today. Thank you for the follows. I'm sure I've gotten a lot of new subscribers too, but it's harder to keep up. Thank you for the compliment, Boomer. What should I make for dinner? I don't know. I made tacos the other day. That's always good. So are we African Americans a shade of European Americans? I say European American because they have retained a lot of their culture from Europe that they brought over here. Well, yeah, I mean, I think everyone is just a combination of all the cultures they've experienced. And, you know, Black Americans have that African ancestry and culture, but they also couldn't have, you can't help but be influenced by the dominant culture in America, the white culture, which is dominant, which is derived from the European culture. So it's definitely a part of it. My bro and I might do a D&D session with a few close associates. Do you have any tips for world building, cultural, and species dynamics? Thanks, TJ. I love your content. Good vibes. For world building, cultural, and species dynamics. Well, I don't know. World building is kind of, I don't know if I would consider myself an expert on that. I'm going to be definitely like experimenting with a lot of stuff myself. But I would say like try to relate it to real life. Like think about what do you find interesting about the world in real life? And then make sort of an analog, a fantasy analog of that, or whatever, you know, genre your game is in. Same things with species dynamics or race dynamics. Race dynamics are very interesting and important in the real world, so you can translate that to your D&D game as well, except with the fantasy versions of that. So I think that would be a good place to start. Just think about what themes, what ideas are interesting to you in real life. Serious question, how should we legalize psychedelics? Weed doesn't affect me. How should we legalize psychedelics? I don't know how. I mean, I guess the way how is just for legislators to make it so. But I'm generally in favor of drug legalization or decriminalization. But maybe you could search somewhere to find some stronger weed. I don't know. But I mean, I know a lot of people who have to smoke a lot of weed for them to really feel anything. Are you a gringo taco person or a corn tortilla person? I like that those are the options. I guess by gringo taco person, you mean a flour tortilla, since you specifically reference the corn tortilla. But both are great. I don't really care, but I will take both. COVID brought me closer to my family and old friends. I am calling them more often, maybe because life feels more fragile, or maybe just because I couldn't get to know new people. Yeah. I think the thing with me is I was a pretty outgoing person before the pandemic hit. I was a pretty social person, so I interact with a lot of people. And then after the pandemic, you can't really do that. So I ended up, ultimately and eventually the only people that I really saw was my family and like super close friends. So that's kind of how it worked out for me. And not that I'm like not interested in being social anymore, but I'm like way less. I'm not as worried about it as I used to be. Like I'm much more happy like just chilling at the house. And when I do like have that urge to be social, I can just hang out with like my close friends rather than, going places where there's crowds and stuff. Crack put out a video. We remade Spider-Man No Way Home for $20. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen that one yet. I've seen some of their other $20 remakes. I would say be careful with species dynamics because a lot of fictional species differences are less cultural than physical, which can lead to some weird stuff if you treat them the same as IRL ones. Physical? I don't know what you mean by physical. But I mean, it just depends on how you make your game. Like if you want to make cultural differences in your game, then you can do it. Like, also, I would say like in your own home private game, it's not like the fucking, the social justice police are going to be watching your game and taking notes. So even if you don't do everything perfectly, if you don't, tackle every social issue in the correct way, it's probably fine. Just try to take it as a learning experience. Try to think about it, be thoughtful. But at the end of the day, the point of the game is to have fun. You're not trying to save the world in your private D&D game. But I would say be thoughtful. Like you don't want to send out the wrong message to your friends. Do I like weed? Yeah, I'm pro weed for sure. Are Afro-Caribbean and Afro-Latinas African Americans as well? Geopolitically, the Caribbean and South and Central America are all America. We just live in one country. In America is called the US. Well, I think if you want to ask some black people from Latin American countries, maybe some of them identify as African American. I'm not super sure about that, but I mean, in a way, this is just kind of a semantic thing. Very clearly, like it's very clear that a lot of people, including both people within the United States and people outside of the United States, refer to the United States as America. We just say it colloquially, like that's just a thing that people do. It doesn't mean it's not wrong. It's just another way of saying it. So sometimes when you say American, you're talking specifically about people from the United States. It's a very common thing people do. There's no reason to resist the fact that people do that because it's fine, as long as we understand what we're talking about. So usually when we say African American, we mean black people from the United States. But it's possible that that could be applied to people in other countries as well. But I'm not so sure how common it is for people to use it that way. Like, for example, you know, Canada is in North America. I highly doubt that black people in Canada call themselves African Americans. Correct me if I'm wrong. Would having only Latino and black cops in poor communities change anything? I really don't know, but there's a way to find out. You just try it. I think you could go either way with this. I think there is. Would it change anything? It probably would change some things, but would it be a significant enough change to justify doing it? I don't know. But you know, it's a common argument, and I've made this argument myself, is that the policing of a community should reflect the communities that they serve, like demographically, you know, to the best of their extent. Because I just think that, just in general, black people, I think a black person can understand the plight of another black person generally better than someone who isn't black. Now, that's not 100% of the time, that's not true, but I think generally speaking that's the case. So you could, and that probably applies, especially, in fact, that probably applies for some of the smaller minorities as well. Like, just say, for example, you have a native community, or a community where there's a large amount of natives, and you have a native police officer. Like, I feel like that police officer would have insight to those people that just no one else would have. So but on the flip side, there's a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there's evidence that, for example, police harassment and police brutality doesn't decrease when the officer is the same race as the victim of police harassment or brutality. And that's just one context, but you know, that's something that a lot of people like to bring up, is like, oh, but you know, sometimes the cops are black too. But you know, we know that implicit bias does not only affect white people. So there's arguments for either way. The only way we could truly know is if we could find an example, or if we could do an experiment. If we're making a new game, it can be done that way. I'm saying a lot of current games have races that do actually have lower int, so making it analogous can be really easy to make gross. Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like most people, I don't know, I'm not in everyone's table, but like, I feel like most people kind of ignore all that stuff these days, and like, I know like Wizards of the Coast, who owns D&D, they've been making a lot of comments about avoiding that sort of thing. But yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah, I don't know. the issue, it's weird because in D&D specifically, at least in the way it is now, like there's humanoid races, but somewhat, well, not arbitrarily. I was gonna say somewhat arbitrarily, but it's not. It's clearly not arbitrary the way that some of the humanoid races are considered monsters and are often used as enemies to the protagonist. You know, great examples are like goblins and orcs. And those are kind of the things that you're talking about, where I think goblins and orcs have lower than average intelligence and they're like listed as evil, you know, just like naturally evil. But it's a little bit arbitrary because they just kind of picked certain ones that they decided were going to be the monsters. But in the same, also it's not arbitrary because obviously orcs and goblins like look a little more beastly and a little less human than some of the other races. But yeah, I would definitely avoid that. I feel like most people do, like, but I could be wrong. Like, I feel like they're, you know, most people who want to be creative, they'll have like, oh, here's the, they just do it on an individual basis. Like when I do D&D and there's like just some random townsperson, I just use like the commoner stats, and I think commoners just have average everything, average strength, average dex, average intelligence, unless for some reason that particular character is higher or lower in one. But I use that stat block regardless of what the race is, whether it's an orc or a goblin or a dwarf or a human. I think that's maybe a good place to start. Don't use the orc stat block because it just implies that all orcs are not intelligent and evil. Anyway, didn't Lindsay Ellis explain the racism on Tolkien fantasy? Probably, but yeah, I mean that a lot of it is derived from that. I mean, D&D is basically, you know, started off as a ripoff of Tolkien, so a lot of it is derived from all that. It's such lazy world building too. It's so uninteresting for certain races to be evil just because. Yeah, well, I mean, the concept of anybody being just like inherently good or evil is a little bit dubious. I kind of, the idea of good and evil though is interesting, so I still use it in my games. But the idea that any like one individual is like just inherently good or inherently evil this doesn't seem very realistic to me. Much less like an entire race being inherently good or inherently evil. Most fantasy creatures are just dressed up racial caricatures. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of them are. But I think, I don't know, the evolution of this kind of thing is pretty interesting, and it almost has its own narrative. How, you know, early storytellers created these like monsters, like like giants and orcs and goblins. And so, you know, for centuries and centuries, all the stories about these creatures were just that they were evil creatures who just wanted nothing but destruction. But as time goes on, it's almost like we've gotten to know them, and it's like, hey, some of them are fine. In fact, most of them are fine. They're just trying to live their lives. And in fact, like, I feel like in a lot of games, and especially in my games, and not even just D&D, but just any like fantasy thing, it's like the humans who are like the most chaotic and destructive out of all the races. And so like when you look at it from their perspective, it's like the humans are the evil ones. The humans are the ones that, like, you know, raise their land and you know, relocated them and kill them for no reason. And that's why racial dynamics can be interesting, because they can mimic real life. Every RPG needs some monsters to kill. Some of them will be humanoid. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we should generalize every monster as evil or whatever. Sometimes people just have conflicting goals. That doesn't mean that one of them is like a savage, unintelligent, evil creature inherently. I mean, if you want to have an evil creature, that's fine. I think the criticism is against the idea of like all goblins are evil. Like, if they're intelligent enough to be like humanoid creatures with a civilized society, probably all of them aren't evil. But yeah, I mean, in my last game I just finished, there were several humanoid antagonists, and some of them were pretty shitty people. So definitely you have to fight humanoids sometimes. Biden confirmed he will run again. Did he confirm that? I didn't see that. Are you hype? VR Matrix Prawn? I truly don't know what you're asking me right now. Depth is good, aesthetic is fine for junk food, but them complicated dynamics are grand. I took Biden running again for granted. I mean, most people run again, and most people win again, so we shouldn't be surprised if Biden runs and wins again. Although he's gonna be old as fuck, so we'll see. Yeah, Trump is one of the few presidents that did not get 2 terms. VR Matrix porn? What does that mean? I know I've heard of VR porn. What is VR Matrix porn? When do you think a person can call themselves wise? I don't know. I don't know if it really counts if you call yourself wise. I think other people have to call you wise. And in fact, I think that most people who are wise are probably not the type of people who worry about whether or not they can call themselves wise, if I had to guess. If you make an evil race, it can be okay, just don't make it analogous for real life races. Otherwise, I don't think there's an inherent problem. Just try to compare IRL races to fake ones, get sketchy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't suggest trying to make like a direct one-to-one analog for something existing. But I do think a lot of the issues that a lot of the real life racial dynamics can be applied to other races. So even though things might be similar, that doesn't necessarily mean you're directly comparing. You know, like, you know, in my game, there were people that were racist against orcs. Just because people are racist against black people in real life, that's not me saying, hey, orcs are like black people. That's not really what was happening. I'm not saying that's what you're saying is happening, but that's just an example. If we legalize drugs, wouldn't cartels just sell them at a cheaper price? I mean, I'm sure they would try, but why would people go through the trouble of doing something as sketchy as buying illegal drugs when you can just buy them legally? I don't like, I don't think that people would do it just because there's no reason to put yourself at risk. The only way I could see that being a thing is if drugs become like prohibitively expensive, then maybe. Like, I'm sure some people would still do it, but you know, I think the idea, I just think people wouldn't take the risk if it was simple and easy to just buy it legally. I feel like people wouldn't take the risk. What if you can jack into a simulated reality that can satisfy your every sexual desire? Would you lead? Oh, you mean like actually entering the Matrix? At that point, it's not really porn anymore, is it? Would I leave? I don't know. I mean, if it like felt like, I don't know, if it felt like real life and it was awesome and I had, you know, if I didn't have a reason to leave, I imagine I would still have like bills and obligations in real life. So it'd be hard to just stay jacked in 24/7. Netflix movie Bright is a great example of bad world building and bad racial allegory. Yeah, see, that was a weird movie. But yeah, in that one, it was a little on the nose. I mean, there was literally like, what were they? Were they orcs in that movie? What race were they? Ogres? I forgot. But they were like literally like in the hood wearing jerseys and shit. It's like, okay, now what's going on? comment didn't show. If the comment didn't show, it is probably because it's on top chat rather than live chat. Or YouTube YouTube thought your comment had something inappropriate in it. I don't know what it said. Legal weed costs way too much. I have no experience buying legal weed because I live in Alabama, so I don't know how it goes. Shouldn't identity politics be about wealth identity rather than racial identity? I don't know why it has to be either or, because both things are important. Like, if your argument is that all racism is caused by class politics, then I just disagree with that. Some people believe that, but I don't agree with that at all. What's up, Anarchy? Mary Chrysler. Keeping the all of these creatures slash races are evil thing on the low to non-existent scale also has the pragmatic effect of players being a less murder hobo-y. True, that is true. I have found that with, especially with low-level creatures, like goblins is a very good example. A lot of players just straight up don't give a fuck about goblins and kobolds and shit. Like, they'll just murder them because they don't see them as people. So I always try to, well, not always, but since I've started, I always try to make sure to show that these are like actual people with like lives and families and shit. But it's hard in D&D though, because D&D just naturally involves a lot of murder. You just kind of go around murdering people in D&D. Now you could keep it to a small effect, only fighting the people who are opposing you or who are doing terrible things. But it's hard to tell the players, or it's hard to imply to the players, maybe you shouldn't kill this person when they're like on a quest to kill a different person, you know? Which chat is on the screen? I actually don't know. It's probably top chat if I had to guess, because top chat is what YouTube sends out by default. I don't know how they decide what's top chat and what's not. I think top chat filters out like spam and things like that, but I don't know. Identity politics is intersectional, so it's race and wealth. I agree with that. I pointed out Tolkien admitted dwarves and Lord of the Rings represent a certain ethnic group since their name is banned in YouTube chat. Possibly. That makes sense. That seems like something that YouTube would do. Tolkien books are very racist, and as a result, so is a lot of fantasy. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm most familiar. Well, I'm more recently familiar with D&D. So, and I know D&D is pretty much directly based on Tolkien. So, but like I said, Wizards of the Coast has been talking about that a lot for the past couple of years and trying to encourage people to. In fact, I think they released like an update to the handbook or a new rule book or something, where they mention this sort of thing, where it's like, hey, by the way, our bad, all orcs aren't evil. My DM is great. I went and killed a rich baron and then got in trouble with the military. Lol, no evil race needed. Yep. And that's the thing, like, a lot of people talk about the murder hobos, but as long as there are consequences for people's actions, that's fine, I guess. I don't really mind as much. Like, I think DMs sometimes get too married to their preparation or to what they plan to do, and when the players do something else, it's like frustrating, and I get that feeling. But you know, I say roll with it. In any normal world, you can't just go around killing people non-discriminately without consequences. And I don't care if you're like super powerful, like you're not gonna take out the whole military. I'm sorry. And if they are able to, they must have rolled really well, or maybe your tactics are not. You need to step up your DM tactics, because these four adventurers should not be taking on an entire military or an entire town guard, you know? I judged Goosebumps books by their covers when I was a kid. I remember, weren't most of those covers like super tight? I remember loving the covers to Goosebumps books. T&J, I hope you're safe and warm this holiday season. I hope you get a chance to spend time with loved ones. Thank you for the kind message. I do plan to go spend some time with family on Christmas. And I hope everyone here is having a decent holiday season, whether or not you intend to celebrate in any way. Thing is, I don't care if some corpo black person got disadvantaged because of his skin color, as long as there are people who can't get food. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. I don't agree with you at all, though. People are still people. Would you change your avatar appearance in a Matrix, like changing your race and gender for fun? Probably not. I was gonna say maybe, because in video games I often make characters that don't look like me, but that's usually because they don't have the option to make characters that look like me. In characters where they have, you know, decent customization, where you can make a male character that's black and has dreads, and has features similar to mine, then I usually make a character that looks like myself. So if it was the Matrix where I could look exactly like myself, except cooler, I would definitely do that. What's up, George? In my campaign, sometimes if they kill an essential NPC, the ghost of the NPC will haunt them. That's a good idea. I like that. Terry Pratchett, in one of the last Discworld novels, had an interesting take on orcs. I think it might have been Unseen Academicals. Interesting. I don't know anything about it. For a person who's so into D&D, I have not read almost a single fantasy novel. I probably should. I'm sure I would like it. I'll probably like get some audiobooks. I think the existence of half-orcs gave the idea to Tumblr with the cute comic of healthy orc and human relations. Bright push discussion of orcs. used as a metaphor poorly in extra credits talk. Yeah, I don't know. That I feel like that's a bit cringe. Like, I don't think you need to use orcs as a specific metaphor for a specific thing. Just like, if you need to, you can just create an entire new culture that orcs have. Just some completely, maybe it's a combination of a lot of things, but it doesn't have to be a direct analog, because you can still get interesting stories out of that. Is Star Wars fantasy or sci-fi? What do they call it? Space opera? I would say it's definitely a combination of both, though. It's Star Wars is interesting because it clearly has this sort of futuristic feel. You know, they're in spaceships and shit flying around, but it also seems very retro. Like, it feels very, not retro, but like it still feels like medieval in a way, you know? I kind of see superhero movies the same way. Although I think superhero movies they venture more into sci-fi than fantasy, but they still have a lot of like fantasy elements. A space western? That's interesting. I really don't know a lot about westerns. I'm not even sure what kind of defines a western, besides the fact that it takes place in the American West. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of genre fiction often overlaps in between sort of sci-fi and fantasy. Like they overlap a lot. Especially in fantasy that has it. One interesting thing that I like about sort of high fantasy swords and sorcery type of stuff, like, you know, like D&D, is this idea of magic replacing technology. So it's like, it's almost like these worlds never had to really advance technologically because they had magic. But, you know, at the same time, while they can do all of these like wild things with magic, they've like lagged behind in other like social areas and in industrial areas and stuff like that, because they never advanced technologically, because they didn't have to. I don't know anything about Firefly, I can tell you that. How many other shows have been called a space western? I haven't seen Bebop, but it sounds like it. Yeah, space western seems to fit Cowboy Bebop. I can't really say why though. There's that one episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they do a western, isn't it? I didn't see the Netflix Cowboy Bebop. fighter enters an unfamiliar town and gets into trouble without a fault on his own. Western. Is that how you define a Western? I feel like maybe, well, I don't know. My stepdad likes to watch Westerns. What about Westerns with teams like Magnificent Seven? Yeah, I think, well, genres I think can be defined by a lot of different things. Like, it can be defined by the setting, or it can be defined by the plot, or it can be defined by like the themes. And I guess sometimes those things can, you know, they can mix and mingle with other genres. So I think that's why different things that have different attributes can sometimes be considered in the same genre. I was thinking about this a while ago with music, specifically with hip hop, because there's like different genres of hip hop, but the genres aren't defined the same way. So you have like when I was growing up, there was like crunk music and like southern hip hop, and that they define that genre based on how it sounds, like, you know, the style of music. But then you have like gangster rap, and that genre is defined by the subject matter. So it's just interesting that genres can be defined in different ways. Like the term genre has like barely even has a definition. Are samurai films Westerns? I don't know. I can't even think of a samurai film. Is there a samurai film that's really popular? Is pro wrestling fantasy or opera? I don't know. Especially these days, I don't know if I would say that pro wrestling is fantasy. Maybe it was. Maybe like some of the indie ones are. Maybe it was a while ago, but I think it's a little more grounded in reality these days. I mean, you know, there are still wild characters, but they've kind of drifted away from the like otherworldly stuff. But but pro wrestling is definitely a soap opera, 100%. It does have a wizard in it. Pro wrestling is more Broadway play. I could see that. It's kind of like stage acting. Amira Kurosawa. Oh, Yojimbo, I've heard that. Afro Samurai. Yeah, the samurai vibe is definitely similar to the to like the Western cowboy vibe for sure. Seven Samurai. Oh, the Magnificent Seven was based on Seven Samurai. I didn't know that. Didn't know that Fistful of Dollars was Yojimbo either. Yeah, I'm not very much of like a film or media scholar. I'm completely out of the loop with a lot of stuff. But I do find, you know, discussions of genres and things pretty interesting. I've watched a lot of pro wrestling though. Does that count? Pro wrestling is interesting because it spans a lot of genres because there's so many different characters. So like there's like, you know, there's like gangster characters, there's comedy characters, there's horror characters. Obviously there's like the whole sports thing, so you could even consider it like sports fiction. I mean, it is kind of sports fiction. And then, you know, there used to be a lot more otherworldly elements. They don't really do that as much anymore. Like characters with literal superpowers. I think the last one like that was like The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, who are both inactive right now, I believe. Kurosawa. I need to check out some Kurosawa, apparently. The different brands would be different genres, like Lucha Underground, AEW, NGPW would all be distinct genres. Yeah, and I was just speaking just from a WWE perspective, but like each different promotion definitely has its own feel for sure. The melodrama of pro wrestling is absolutely influenced by old Western style of melodrama storytelling, which was influenced by Japanese melodrama. I mean, I think that's probably part of it. I think, but you know, that's also soap operas, and I feel like soap operas are at least as old as Westerns are, if not older. But maybe not. But I mean, I think they were probably all influenced by, you know, by each other. I mean, Westerns were probably just the soap operas that were targeted to men, which is essentially what wrestling is. Happy Chrysler. I'm glad a lot of people are getting the Vine reference. Speaking of genres, what's your favorite subgenre of metal? I don't listen to enough metal to have a favorite subgenre. Favorite Spider-Man? You mean like favorite Spider-Man actor or movie? Or just favorite fictional Spider-Man in general? That Vine has legs. My favorite Spider-Man actor, I think Tom Holland has changed the game on Spider-Man portrayals. But would he be here without those who came before him? I don't know. Always try to remember that. What's your favorite band that nobody has heard about? I probably don't know enough bands to answer this question. I can't think of one. There were like some local bands that were pretty good, but I don't think they're active anymore. But yeah, like I said, I'm out of the loop when it comes to popular media. I just play D&D and watch YouTube. That's pretty much what I do. That's the media that I interact with. And MCU. I watch all MCU stuff. What's up, Adam? Would Disney just buy DC Comics? I'm sure they would if they could. Just depends on if someone's selling. I would not be surprised though if like 10 years down the line or something, Disney buys DC. I would not be surprised at that at all. And then we'll get, you know, the Batman vs. Spider-Man movie that we all wanted to see, or whatever character crossover you want to see. Firefly's called space western. Looks but doesn't feel like a western to me. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Tom Holland for sure. I mean, I think they all were fine. Tobey Maguire was fine, and Andrew Garfield was fine in my opinion. But Tom Holland just, to me, when I think of Spider-Man, and when I think of Peter Parker, Tom Holland is the closest to portraying that. Plus, Tom Holland looks like a kid, which helps because Peter Parker is supposed to be a kid. Can I play D&D with you? Maybe. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can play D&D with the stream. Like maybe have a poll that decides the actions or something like that. Like a choose your own adventure type of thing. But I haven't figured out a very good way to do it yet. I might need like an assistant to help me with it. But I was thinking about doing something like that. And we can do like an ongoing campaign. It would be easier to do on Twitch because you can add like more. Twitch has more customizability. I know you can have like a poll integrated with the chat. I don't know if you can do that on YouTube. I'm sure like if I knew how to code or something, or maybe I can find someone who knows how to code that can do something like that. But have the Twitch and YouTube streams be separate characters. That'd be tight. That's a good idea. But that's something that I want to do. So keep an eye out for that. Do I like how D&D Beyond has changed the community? As far as I can see, D&D Beyond has completely improved the lives of people who play D&D. D&D Beyond is amazing. Would ever do a Dungeons and Dragons live stream? Yeah, I'd like to. I have before, and I've been a part of other people's streams, but again, that's something I need to figure out because I already have a home game, and I don't want to plan. I don't want to run 2 games, so I could like maybe get someone else to run it. But then I have to get people to play, and you know, I could ask people online to play, but I don't want to like have to rely on strangers, because you never know what can happen with that. So, but I'd like to do it, yeah. Apparently YouTube live stream is going to have a big update next year. I hope so. I believe that because YouTube has been spending a lot of money to get big streamers to jump ship from Twitch to come to YouTube, and I hope that along with that means they're going to improve their live stream platform. Because it's missing a lot of the features that Twitch has. Right now, it just kind of feels like an afterthought. And, you know, I stream, I stream on both now, but, you know, most of my audience is on YouTube, so I feel like it would be a mistake for me not to stream on YouTube. But I know a lot of people prefer the Twitch experience. And also, you know, it's good to diversify your presence, so that's why I stream on both now. And it's, you know, it's pretty simple to do. So I've got 9 viewers on Twitch, which is more than usual. That's pretty good. One of the reasons I hesitated to stream on Twitch is because, you know, it's hard to get people to watch you on Twitch. Like, it is brutal. Anybody, like, people that are like trying to like become streamers, I don't even know how you do that. Like, I don't think you can just stream and then somehow blow up. I don't think that happens, especially on Twitch. You have to like transfer your audience from something else to your stream. I don't think you can organically build a stream anymore on Twitch. Like, maybe, like, even if like a huge streamer raids you, you'll get, you know, a couple thousand followers. You'll have an amazing chat one day, but then you stream the next day and no one's there. I think you probably have to do like a lot of collaborations and stuff. But the easiest way to do it would be to like just make content somewhere else, like on TikTok or YouTube, and then transfer that audience to your stream. As a programmer, that would be super easy to code. I know it'd be easy to code. I don't know how to do that. The problem is, will YouTube, because YouTube is very strict about their API and what you can do and what they allow you to have access to and what they allow you to do. So that's what I'm not sure about. But my guess is that you could probably do it. But also the fact that if it's true that you could do it, it's weird to me that I haven't seen it. Like, now, just because I haven't personally seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it seems like someone would have done it by now. But it could also be just because you know, no one fucking live streams on YouTube, so no one bothered doing it. Maybe as time goes on, people will start paying more attention to YouTube. I've been watching Rust Age One Piece D&D. Interesting. Maybe I should check that out. I'm watching so many different shows right now, man. This is a golden age for D&D content, but there's just too much of it, man. I can't keep up. I want to watch all of it, but there's too much. Like, I'm watching Critical Role, Dimension 20. I'm listening to The Adventure Zone. They just released Battle for Beyond. I'm trying to watch that. I was watching LA by Night, but luckily not luckily because I loved it, but it ended, so I'm done with that. And then there's all kinds of other stuff. All of the streamer, all of these RPG role players, they all have their own streams where they all run their own stuff. Like Josephine McAdam plays on her stream, Becca Scott plays games on her stream, B. Dave Walter plays games on his stream, Satine Phoenix plays games on her stream. It's just too much. It just feels like a YouTube video happening live rather than a full live streaming experience like Twitch has. I mean, yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. But we'll see. I'm interested to see, like, I feel like YouTube is playing the long game. Like, it's like in a race, in like you know, in a race car, you can like, what's it called? Drift behind someone? Not drift, draft. I think it's draft. So you're like following someone, you're behind them, but you're just waiting for the right moment to use their, to slingshot yourself because of the air resistance or whatever. Slingshot yourself in front of them. I feel like YouTube is doing that to Twitch. You've been following for 7 years? Holy moly. The only reason I prefer YouTube is because YouTube is on Roku, Twitch is only on Amazon Fire Stick. I didn't even know that. Would you like to watch a Will Smith-led Matrix movie like it was planned, but Morpheus had to be Val Kilmer because racism? It would definitely be a different movie. I don't know that it would be a worse movie. It would just be very different. But I love The Matrix. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. So it seems unlikely that I would like it as much as I like the one that exists. If you have 50 plus followers on Twitch, you are in one of the top percentiles of streamers. Yeah, Twitch is hard. I mean, even just getting like partnered on Twitch is like super rare. Let me see. I'm gonna see how many people are. What percentage of Twitch streamers are partnered? Less than 1% of all streamers have achieved partners. Jeez, I knew it was gonna be low. I didn't know it was gonna be that low. I thought it was gonna be like 8% or something. Less than 1% of all streamers have achieved partner status. I'm basic and I'm just watching one of the old crit roll campaigns. Yeah, I've never seen season 1 of Critical Role or campaign 1, but I did watch the entirety of campaign 2 and I am following campaign 3 right now. Yeah, it's surprising the idea hasn't been done yet. From a glance at YouTube's API, it looks like it's supported easily. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't support it, but like I said, I don't know that much about how all that works. But shit, I might look into look into that. And honestly, to see what else is possible. There's probably some people that have been working on some widgets and apps for YouTube. I just have to find them. I don't play tabletop games, but if I could, I would like to play the official My Little Pony tabletop game, but my character gets to have a lesbian makeout session with Fluttershy. Okay, don't be cringe now. I played in a D&D game where one of the guys played well, some people, I know, like some people, I played in a game where basically this dude like flirted with every woman in the game. Anytime a woman was introduced, he like aggressively flirted with them. And it's like, all right, that's a bit cringe. Like, yeah, I guess there are people like that. I guess that's a character trait. But keep in mind, you're forcing the DM to roleplay that with you. I'm pretty sure they did a My Little Pony one-shot on the Critical Role channel. Mixer gave the gas right away, first lap, and fell out of the race. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure exactly what caused Mixer to fail so spectacularly. Because the thing is, I guess Mixer just didn't have the name recognition. No one really cared about Mixer. Because like Facebook and YouTube are doing the exact same thing that Mixer did, just paying streamers a bunch of money to come stream for them. And there were a lot of smaller Mixer streamers that really loved the platform, but it just didn't work out. You think Twitch is dying as a platform and YouTube is kind of waiting for that? I don't think that Twitch is dying, but I think that YouTube is basically observing what they're doing well and what they're doing wrong, and they're just gonna make a better version of it eventually. Assuming that they care about live streaming that much. They may not care that much, because obviously their video on demand service is what most people come to YouTube for. But assuming they do care about live streaming that much, I feel like they're just gonna make a better version eventually. Maybe not anytime soon, but eventually. Twitch, I feel like, I don't think Twitch is dying. Twitch is still the #1 spot for live streaming. But there's clearly some things that they're not handling very well. They don't handle like scandals and controversies very well. It seems like they just kind of tackle problems as they come rather than like preemptively. I don't work for them. I'm sure there's a lot of very talented and smart people that work there and they're doing their best, but there's just been a lot of like seemingly unnecessary controversies that Twitch has handled poorly. What's up, EJ? I feel D&D gets into uncomfortable areas more frequently than they should. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I've been lucky in that the vast majority of my D&D experience has been playing with my closest friends, pretty much. So, you know, we all trust each other. We're comfortable with each other, etc. But you know, like I have played in some other games where people kind of go a little ham. But generally, my experience has been very positive. I think Mixer failed because Microsoft didn't care about it. Possibly. That's a weird way to show that you don't care about something, is by spending tens of millions of dollars on streamers. But I guess they thought that they could just throw money at the problem and everything would be all right. Homies count 69. Yeah, I got 69 homies. Is that right? I feel like, I guess I lost some homies. It was at 70 something last month. I definitely appreciate all the supporters of the channel. I don't have a affiliate on Twitch yet, so I don't have any Twitch subs. I probably won't ever get a affiliate. I just don't stream enough. And also the thing about affiliate is, you can't dual stream anymore, which is kind of dumb, but I guess I understand. And I kind of like the idea of dual streaming. And I know I'm going to continue to stream on YouTube. Like I'm not going to become Twitch exclusive. So I don't even know if I want affiliate. Because I mean, the only thing that you'll get is like the sub button and like emotes and stuff, which is like, I'm good. You know, I could see for someone who is like a new content creator, how they'd be excited about the Twitch affiliate thing. Because it's like, you know, you finally have an opportunity to like make money from what you're doing, but I'm good on that. You know, I'll always take more money, but not at the expense of, you know, what I want to do for content. So what they should have done with Mixer is released it alongside a software update and make it default on Windows OS like Edge or something, unless they did that and I just missed it. Yeah, I don't know if they did that. That would have been a decent idea, I guess. I think what they don't real. So I think this might be another example. Like I did say that Facebook and YouTube are just doing the same thing that Mixer did, but more likely is they're doing what I said that they would do to Twitch, is they're seeing what they did wrong and doing it a little bit better. Because the thing is, and this has been confirmed by a lot of people, when you pay streamers a bunch of money, they are gonna go like, they're gonna put in half as much effort. And that's why a lot of these deals have like streaming minimums. Like you have to stream a certain amount of hours in the day or per week or whatever. I don't know if Mixer's deals had that, but like people are gonna go half as hard. They're gonna play different games or do different content because it doesn't matter. They don't have to do their content that gets them the most viewers. So you may not necessarily get a return. Like you can't base your potential return on investment on what they were doing before you gave them millions of dollars, because they're not gonna do that anymore. And perhaps that's what Mixer didn't realize. I don't know for sure, but it should be more normalized to talk about everyone's boundaries and expectations in D&D before playing. Helps my groups have more fun a lot of time. Oh, absolutely. If you're gonna play especially if you're playing an ongoing campaign that's more than just one session, absolutely you should have what they call the session 0, where you talk to everyone. I've had games, multiple games, where they literally send you a consent form, and you check off which things you're okay with, which things you're uncomfortable with. It's like, what are you comfortable discussing? What are you comfortable role playing? Absolutely, you should do that 100%. Your thoughts on Twitter Space? What is Twitter Space? Am I missing something with that? Why do I think Batman is the perfect comic book hero? Have I said that I think that Batman is the perfect comic book hero? Batman's cool as fuck though. Do I feel comfortable talking about what your income from YouTube is like? I guess. I mean, do you have a question about that? I can talk about, I don't mind talking about it, but there are some things that I'm not allowed to talk about, but I can definitely talk about it in general terms. I get why dual streaming isn't allowed from a corp standpoint, but it does feel a little shitty, kind of like how people keep getting fucked by copyright. Yeah, it definitely sucks. And I honestly feel like the lack of freedom and flexibility that you have is not even worth doing. But I can understand, again, like if you're a new content creator and you want to make money from what you're doing, it's hard to see that. It's hard to say that. But I've been talking, well, not talking, but I've been like listening and reading from like experts and like streamers, and a lot of people are saying that you shouldn't become a Twitch affiliate. You should dual stream, because it's has the potential to be better for you in the long run. Honestly, Twitch subscriptions is like genius, because Twitch takes half of the money. It's wild, but they're marketed so well. The people love them. People like the idea of being subscribed. Like, I'm a subscriber. Like, I'm an XQC subscriber. I'm a Critical Role subscriber. Like, it really has good branding, and you can gift them to people, which is genius. It's one of the biggest things that YouTube is missing, is you can't gift memberships. That's going to be huge when they add that. But the fact that you can gift them to people is really big. Like, once they added, or like, I think most streamers, most of their money comes from gift subs. But at the end of the day, Twitch literally takes half of the money. It's wild that no one talks about that. Like, YouTube doesn't even take that much. I think YouTube takes like 20 or 30% of memberships, and they take less than half from ad revenue. But anyway, I just think it was genius. However they pulled that off. What's up, Knackwurst? Just came in to say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Batman is cool, but only when he's Batman and a philanthropist that does stuff for the city. For sure. Adam Lognon is the homie. Thank you for supporting the channel. Well, that 69 is going to turn to a 70 soon. I apologize. Unless I lose a member again. But yeah, I think there are a lot of class criticisms of Batman which are pretty interesting, but I literally think that they made him rich just to justify all the shit that he has access to, because otherwise he wouldn't be a very interesting superhero, just some guy. Just came to say happy holidays and thank you for all the content from this year. I appreciate that. Happy holidays to you as well. Batman bothers me for the same reason Iron Man does. Just feels like rehabilitation of rich people's image. Yeah, it's well, I don't know. I think there are definitely criticisms there. I don't personally have a problem with rich people specifically, so the fact that they're rich is like not a problem, but I think that some people believe that the fact that they are rich should be examined, and I mean maybe that's something that could be looked at for sure, but they definitely don't generally do that in the media. I'm sure there's like some stories that get into it, but maybe that's why Captain America seems so cool to me, because he seems much more like a working class hero. Even like Falcon and Winter Soldier, which that was a really good show, y'all should watch that, but they just seem like these two normal dudes. Like, they're not normal obviously, but they were just like these two bros living life, and like, you know, one of them was like working on a fishing boat and the other one was like going to a bar in the city and going to therapy. It's like, hey, this is like shit that I do. I don't live in a fucking high-rise mansion surrounded by fucking robots. I just watched a video saying that YouTube pays like $2 to $3 per 1,000 views for creators, but TikTok plays like 2 to 3 cents. Kind of blew my mind a little. I don't know if that's true or not, but I could see that, because people on YouTube watch way more ads, so their time is worth more. Also, people on TikTok watch way more videos, so the cost of each individual video is probably diminished. All right, Mula, thanks for stopping by the stream. Batman didn't have a ton of money in a military contract. He basically just be Daredevil, but not blind. Kinda. I think part of the thing that makes Batman cool is the fact that he's a detective, and his detective work is aided greatly by all of his technology and equipment. Mary Chrysler. What are some of your favorite songs of all time? I mean, there's a lot of them, I guess. I don't know. I listen to a lot of classic rock, so I like Queen. Bohemian Rhapsody is obviously one of the greatest songs ever. I really like the song Mr. Roboto. That's one of my all-time favorite songs. I really love the song Walk Like an Egyptian. And obviously I listen to a lot of hip hop as well. There's a lot of great hip hop songs. Love Outkast. Rosa Parks by Outkast, one of the greatest songs ever. I like the song Beach Chair by Jay-Z. But yeah, I mean, I think most people could go on and on listing their favorite songs. Personally, I find more interesting America's obsession with superheroes born out of the need to believe themselves the good guys. To an extent, I mean, I think most superhero media these days is, at least to an extent, examines superheroes critically and asks if they, you know, what they represent, are they a good thing? I mean, ultimately, I think they probably argue that they are a good thing, but it at least, like, I don't think it would be fair to say that they go unexamined at the very least. And in fact, like, at least in the MCU, the idea of the superhero has been kind of almost like eliminated. Like, you know, they may be leading up to another big like superhero team battle, but like all the superheroes are gone, like in the MCU. I mean, no, I guess spoilers for people who haven't seen all the MCU movies, but like the Avengers aren't a thing anymore, and the Avengers were like the superheroes. Those were like the protectors of the world type stuff. But that's not a thing anymore. There's like still super powered individuals out there, but they're all kind of doing their own thing now. Spider-Man, I guess, is kind of like the last superhero, and he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You know, he's chilling. He's not saving the world. He's just, you know, keeping his hometown safe. We'll see what happens like in the next Black Panther movie, which I don't even know what's going on with that, because apparently Letitia Wright has been wilding over there. And you have the Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, but they're not even, I wouldn't even consider them superheroes. They're just kind of like I mean, they're just like the crew of a ship that like they're like mercenaries basically. But you know, I could see that. Are superheroes not popular in other countries? Is it an American thing? I have noted, however, that the MCU movies, especially the like Iron Man, Captain America ones, seem to be very pro-military. Like, they are very uncritical of the military. I will give them that, or I'll give you that. I prefer DC Comics over Marvel unless it's live-action movies, because DC only makes good animated movies for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that either. I guess it's just the producers and people over there just are better at making stuff. I don't know. Because Marvel makes animated movies themselves and they're usually not great. So it's like flip-flop. But I will say, as far as the comics go, I've always loved Marvel more than DC. I just feel like Marvel's characters are just more interesting to me. But I mean, I like DC as well, though. Don't get me wrong. But I've always liked Marvel more. If you come from Alabama or just live there, you don't sound like you have an accent. Yeah, I get that a lot. I've lived in Alabama for the vast majority of my life. I've been here since I was like 8, maybe. Before that, I lived in Maryland, and I was born in Germany. The reason I don't have an accent is probably because neither my father nor my mother nor most of my immediate family is from Alabama. So it's just not how we talked in the house. When I was younger and I was like hanging around my friends a lot more, I probably had more of an accent. Like if you go on my channel, go on my YouTube channel and go watch some of my earliest videos, and I kind of hope you don't because they're very cringe, but if you watch them, those were from when I was in college and I went to the University of Alabama, so I was surrounded by people from Alabama. You can tell the difference in my voice back then because that's just, I was around people that talk like that, so I talked a little bit different. But once I like kind of stopped hanging around people like that and spent more time around my family and just the close friends, I think my accent kind of went away. And also, since when I'm started making videos and talking online a lot, I think I just wanted to clear up the way I talk. I don't know. I didn't do that consciously, but I think I just wanted to sound more clear in my videos, so I think I just did it subconsciously. Yeah, I'm wondering what they're gonna do with Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy. Is he just gonna be like a member of the crew, or is he gonna like meet back up with the Asgardians or something? I don't know. I wish the bad guy in Black Panther succeeded. I mean, Killmonger definitely had a point, but he was still not a great guy. All right, Ogun the Bull, thanks for stopping by the stream. That's because the military has control of its image in all media. You can't get a tank or a plane unless they have control over the military's image in the film. It's interesting. But I mean, they could very easily CGI a tank or a plane if they needed to, which I'm sure they have done. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that had something to do with it. Or maybe that's just not what they wanted to, you know, that's not the theme they wanted to tackle, which is their prerogative, you know. My thing is, you don't have to make a movie about something you don't want to make the movie about, you know. Who am I to tell you what to make your movie about? But, you know, outside of, I mean, they could have been very neutral about the military, but they seem to be very like pro-military to the extent that they like misrepresent what the military is like. Like a thing that I noticed, I mentioned this in my video I did about Falcon, but like if you remember in in the Winter Soldier in the movie. Like Sam is he's a retired officer from the Navy, and it was like basically his story is that one of his friend was killed on a mission, and that affected him so deeply that he decided to quit the military. But I don't know if y'all know this, but you can't just quit the military. You can't do that. That's not a thing you can do. So, you know, that was like an unrealistic portrayal of how the military works. And also that the mission that they fought in was I believe, the war in Afghanistan, which obviously the movie presents that war very uncritically, when obviously that war is very problematic in many different ways. So that's just one of the things I noticed. What's up, David Banner? But that's part of what made Black Panther so great. The villain was relatable and sympathetic. Same with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Having a complex villain you almost want to root for is so great. Oh yeah, Killmonger to me is the greatest villain in superhero movie history, I think. But I do get a little uncomfortable when people are like, I wish he would have won. It's like, no, that dude was still not a great, like, he was still bad. Y'all remember when he choked that old lady out? Like, that's no. But he had a point for sure. He was a great villain. And same thing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, what was her name? Carly? Like, I get it. Like, they wanted her to be relatable, but they tried too hard to make us like her. It's like, yo, she's actually a terrorist. Like, she killed a bunch of innocent people. That's not okay. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a softie. Those of you, if you haven't seen Shang-Chi yet, Shang-Chi also has a really great villain. One of the better Marvel villains, in my opinion. Oh, Alex, I didn't even see that was you. What's up? I didn't really understand the villain in Falcon and Winter Soldier. It seemed like they were trying to make them a leftist villain without saying it. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what they were going for. But I think they were also arguing is like, hey, there's a reason why these people are mad. But maybe making them the villain was... Well, I mean, I think that the brilliant thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier was the sort of the juxtaposition between the new Captain America and the villains, or the Flag Smashers. Like, if that wasn't supposed to represent left versus right, then I don't know what else they could have been going for. Yep, hope you and the crew has been well. Yeah, everyone's doing pretty well. Shang-Chi was a good movie. I just hate how Marvel edits the films to cut every 5 to 7 seconds during a fight. Yeah. I mean, like almost all action movies do that, and the reason is because if they did long cuts, you could tell how bad the people were at fighting. But from what I understand, what's his name? I forgot his name. The dude who plays Shang-Chi. Apparently, he's pretty athletic and can do martial arts and stuff pretty well. So they probably didn't have to do all that. Like, I will say, going back to Batman, I remember Batman vs Superman. I went and watched Batman v Superman and didn't like it very much, but I will say it has some really great action sequences and some really great fight scenes, and it's cut really well. Like, it doesn't cut every 2 seconds. Like, there are some really great like long takes and stuff. Falchion Wielder. I remember that name. Yeah, a lot of the old Twitch viewers are like popping out now that I started streaming on Twitch again. I'm gonna have to like remember everybody. Draftsman. Okay, I definitely remember that. That's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, y'all from way on back when I used to do the pregame streams. Yeah, radicalization by trauma is a big theme in Marvel lately. Also in reality, though. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that the MCU movies are often interesting, and they often explore some interesting themes. But at the end of the day, we don't need to think about them too seriously. Not saying that anyone here is. But you know, some people talk about it like, you know, they're like it's like intentional political propaganda. It's like, I really don't think so. I think they just want to make us watch some fit people shoot magic at each other, and it's fun. Have I seen No Way Home? I did see it. I went and saw it last night, actually, or Tuesday night. It's like how DC films are about finding your family. There's been an update thanks to a Christmas gift from a couple friends at work for the first time in the 10 years since I made the screen, and it's actually accurate now. Oh, did someone give you a falchion? I'd love to see you do more videos on nerd stuff like this. Yeah, maybe so. Please don't spoil the brand new movie. Yeah, don't spoil movies, please, or at least not like new movies. That's a pretty dope gift. Are there any Marvel comics you really like and would recommend? Like comic books? I haven't read a comic book in a long time. I can tell you about some books that I used to read a long time ago. There was one that I really liked that was the Marvel Knights Daredevil run. It was super good. I was so committed to avoiding spoilers that I avoided every Spider-Man trailer that I could watch, or that I could. I watched the very first teaser, and then I avoided every trailer after that. And I think it was a good idea, because apparently there were some things that the trailer revealed that I didn't know going in. Not like super major things, but I'm glad that I didn't know it beforehand. I would do well in Marvel then. I've stubbed my toe so many times. Also stuffed on multiple Legos. That's a... Is that like your villain origin story? Have you ever watched any of those YouTube channels where they dramatically read the comics like an audio drama? I've never seen that, no. Yeah, that's dope. Swords are dope. I don't think I would get a sword, but I would probably only get it for decoration, because I don't know what else I would do with it. I bought some nunchucks though, and I actually used those. I'm trying to like practice them. Without spoiling how I like it, it is very, very fun. It is on, so like on the fun tier list, it's like S tier. I think there's like, you know, the movies that are just a romp. I think like all the Avengers movies are like that. The Guardians movies are like that. Thor 3 I think is like that. You know how some of the movies are just fun? This one's fun. I like Far From Home as a movie better than No Way Home. Like just as a coherent movie, I like that one better. But No Way Home is definitely fun. I'm probably gonna watch it multiple times again. The trauma, the love to give characters. I don't think I understood that. I haven't got to see Far From Home yet either, because it's not streaming on any service without paying, but I guess I'll have to pay the rental fee at this point. Yeah, I'm at the point. See, I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I am a massive, massive MCU fanboy. So I'm pretty much at the point where it's just mandatory for me to watch all the movies. And since the internet loves spoiling stuff, I have to watch it as soon as possible. So if it was available to me on streaming and I hadn't seen it yet, I would just pay for it. That's how I watched Black Widow. I paid $30 to watch it on Disney Plus. I understand that not everybody has the money to do that, but I feel like even if I didn't have the extra $30, I would still consider it a priority, because that's just where I'm at in my life right now. I just need to know. They've hooked me. I fully admit it. You're so quiet in a LS. What does that mean? Do I think the new Blade will be successful? Probably. Because for one, it's Marvel Studios. They know how to make good stuff, but also it's a character that people know. So I think people will be excited to see it. and also it's played by an amazing actor. So I think it'll work out. Like I saw Eternals, and I feel like Eternals was not as good as it wasn't at the same standard as other Marvel movies in my opinion. And I think that's for various reasons. For one, it didn't really have the hype because no one really knows about those characters. But also it was just really hard to make a good movie with so many characters in it. There's like 12 main characters. Like what the fuck? And they really wanted to give each one of them an arc, and that's just too much to do in one movie, I feel like. Especially a movie about characters that we haven't met yet. Like you could get away with it in something like the Avengers because we already met those characters, but not the Eternals. It just doesn't work in the Eternals. But the thing is, there's like twice as many Eternals as there are Avengers. Started to watch Black Widow, but turned it off after 10 minutes because the childhood trauma was getting to me. I need to finish it though. Yeah. Black Widow's pretty cool. I think it was a nice nice send-off for the character. I think Eternals just to set up other stuff in the MCU. I mean, at this point, all of the movies do that. I think it's never ending. I think I'm gonna be like 55 years old, still anxious for the next Marvel movie. But I've been streaming for a bit. I've been streaming about 2 hours, so I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream, I think, in like 5-10 minutes. You know, if there's like a few more comments or questions, I can respond to them. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down, get ready to wind down for the day, I guess. But I wanted to get a stream in before Christmas because I probably won't have any time to stream until after Christmas because I'm going out of town. But I hope everyone enjoys their holiday. Did I ever watch Static Shock? I did watch Static Shock. It was cool. Yeah, it's definitely good to see some of the old school people show up in the chat. And of course the new people as well. We've come a long way since those days. Going back to like the DC universe being good at making animated stuff. A lot of those animated shows were great. Static Shock was great. Justice League and Justice League Unlimited it's amazing. Like some of the greatest TV shows ever, in my opinion. Battletoads is a bad Ninja Turtles ripoff. I mean, it very clearly is a Ninja Turtles ripoff. I don't know if it's bad though. The games are pretty fun. They're hard as fuck, but they're fun. Some of your old Disney vids came up and recommended a little while ago. Really? Those videos are still in the algorithm? But yes, the Disney Villain Dust videos definitely gave me one of my earliest boosts of subscribers. And so people that stuck around, even though like my content has changed a lot, those are the real MVPs. But yeah, so I say this literally every time, but I am going to start streaming more frequently. I'm going to try to get back to my normal schedule that I used to do, which was Mondays and Fridays. I don't have a set time yet. It's really just going to be whenever I'm up and ready. I'm going to try to start earlier than I did today though. So I'm going to try to start maybe 1 p.m.-ish Central Time, which is where I'm at. And that'll give people in like the Europe area a decent hour to watch, because usually it's like really late over there when I stream. I don't know if I'm gonna stream next Monday though, but I'll try. We'll see. But yeah, I want to get back to streaming. I got my cool chair, so it's comfortable to sit now. I don't know, those that weren't here earlier, like one of the reasons I haven't been streaming is because I didn't have a chair. Well, I had a chair, but it was very uncomfortable and I couldn't sit in it for like more than an hour or two at a time. So I just didn't want to stream in it because I couldn't, it was just too uncomfortable. But I got a good chair now, so I could sit here for hours. And I actually invested in a nice chair. It's kind of expensive, but from what I've learned is you get what you pay for with chairs. So hopefully this works out better. If this one fucks up, then I don't know what to do. But it feels very sturdy, so I think it'll be good. I want to do like some gaming. I know a lot of you aren't particularly interested in gaming, but I'm probably going to be doing some gaming streams. Because that's just something that I want to do. And I want to do some chess streams. I know there's a couple of you all that are chess fans. But yeah, we're going to do more stuff than just sit here and talk. But, you know, sitting here and talking, doing AMA, Q&A type of stuff, that's also fine. Don't get me wrong. But I guess I am going to get out of here. Yeah, I love chess. I'm not super good at chess, but I do love it. I play it like every day, so I figured I might as well stream it. But anyway, I'll see you all later. Have a good holiday. And if you don't celebrate any of these holidays, I hope you just have a good week. Hopefully I'll see you before 2021 is over. Maybe, honestly, maybe I'll have like a little special end of the year stream or something. We'll see. Because New Year's Eve is on a Friday, which is the day that I want to stream on. Just depends. Like, if this was like 5 years ago, I would definitely have some plan for New Year's Eve night. But these days, I don't really even do anything. It's like, I don't really want to go out. It's obnoxious, especially on a holiday. It's like super crowded. And everyone's gonna be drunk and belligerent. Probably not gonna be that fun. But I may still do something like go to like a, you know, small party with friends or something. So we'll see. But All right, I'm gonna go for real now. I will. I'll probably see y'all either Monday or Friday, and if not, maybe I'll just see you in 2022. 2021 is pretty much a wrap at this point. Most people, general consensus that 2021 is, you know, about a 3 out of 10. Wasn't that great. But hopefully it's a little better going forward. But thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.